Welcome back to the channel, General Hospital Fanatics. Today is a beautiful but absolutely wild day to be a soap fan, and we have got a monumental amount of Port Charles drama to unpack. Grab your coffee, settle in, and brace yourselves for this deep dive. We all knew Curtis Ashford was taking a massive gamble by rejecting that initial plea. We all knew he was rolling the dice, because he was terrified of Isaiah Gannon stepping into his daddy spot with baby Desmond. But to see the judge actually hand down a 2-year sentence for aggravated assault, and then to watch Curtis literally collapse in the middle of the courtroom, my jaw hit the floor. I am still shaking. Let's just talk about that exact moment for a second, because the directing was absolutely cinematic. The camera slowly pans across the faces of the jury. The judge reads the sentence. 2 years in Pentonville. 2 years away from his newborn son. 2 years away from Trina. And Curtis, this incredibly strong, proud, fiercely protective man, just completely crumbles. His knees give out. He hits the floor like a ton of bricks right in front of the gallery. I mean, the physical toll of the stress, the emotional devastation of realizing his absolute worst nightmare is coming true, it all just compounded into this massive physiological short circuit. Security guards are rushing the aisle, trying to maintain order, but there is no order left to maintain. Portia Robinson is screaming. Just absolute, visceral, gut-wrenching screams as she launches herself toward the father of her child. The visual of Curtis lying there, unconscious, while the cuffs are practically waiting for him. It's gonna haunt me for weeks. And Portia. Oh my God, Portia. I have been so incredibly frustrated with her lately. I really have. Because let's be real, Portia's lies are the root of so much trauma in this. She lied to Curtis about Trina for 20 years. But seeing her in that courtroom, watching the man she loves, the father of her brand new baby, hit the floor, my heart actually broke for her. She threw herself over him while the bailiffs were trying to pull her back. Every single plan they had for their future, every hope they had of raising little Desmond together in a happy, drama-free home, just evaporated into thin air. The sheer desperation in her voice. You could feel the destruction of her family happening in real time. But wait. I'm getting ahead of myself, because we have to talk about Trina. Trina Robinson is the collateral damage of every single adult's bad decisions in this town, and I am sick of it. Am I the only one who thinks Trina deserves a break? She has been trying so hard to set boundaries. She officially ignored her warring parents to focus entirely on her music showcase with Gio Palmieri. She was doing the healthy thing. She was protecting her own peace. But you cannot protect your peace when your father collapses unconscious in a courtroom after being sentenced to prison. Watching Trina absolutely lose it in the gallery was devastating. All those boundaries she tried to build, completely shattered. She was in a state of absolute, sheer panic, and it was agonizing to witness. And the psychological crack we saw in Trina today is going to have massive, long-lasting repercussions. She is blaming herself. She is standing there, watching her dad unconscious on the floor, and she is beating herself up for distancing herself from him during the trial. She thinks if she had just been there more, maybe he wouldn't have collapsed. Maybe he would have had more strength to face the verdict. But worse than that, she is blaming Portia. Oh yes, the resentment is brewing, and I am entirely here for it. Trina is silently and soon to be not so silently blaming her mother for bringing Isaiah Gannon into their lives in the first place. If Portia hadn't gotten involved with Isaiah, if Portia hadn't brought this surgeon into their orbit, Curtis never would have gone ballistic. Curtis never would have punched him. Curtis wouldn't be going to prison. Trina's relationship with Portia was already incredibly strained after the 20-year paternity lie, but this might be the final nail in the coffin. Trina is going to resent her mother forever for this, and honestly, I kinda don't blame her. Okay, back to the point. Let's talk about the so-called victim here. Isaiah Gannon. I know some people on the forums are loving this guy and rooting for him because Curtis did ruin his hand and his surgical. I get it. I really do. Curtis was entirely out of line when he attacked Isaiah. But look at Isaiah's face when Curtis hit the floor. Did he look happy? Did he look like a man who just won the ultimate victory? No. He looked completely and utterly empty. He got exactly what he wanted. He wanted Curtis to pay. He wanted Curtis to suffer for taking away his livelihood. He got the 2-year sentence. But the second Curtis collapsed and Portia rushed to his side, weeping and screaming, Isaiah realized he just lost the war. Isaiah stood there, completely frozen in the middle of the courtroom, and you could literally see the realization washing over him. He won the legal battle, but he just became the ultimate villain in the eyes of the Ashford. He looked at Portia, the woman he loves, the woman he has been trying to build a life with, and he saw her absolute, undeniable devotion to Curtis in that moment of crisis. Isaiah realized that by pushing so hard for this severe punishment, by refusing to back down, he might have just lost Portia forever. The revenge he was so thirsty for suddenly tasted like pure ash in his mouth. How is Portia ever going to look at him the same way? How is she going to kiss the man who put the father of her children behind bars for... She isn't. Isaiah played himself. He let his vengeance blind him, and now he is going to be entirely alone. I mean, the irony is just dripping off the screen, and I am eating it up. And then there's Marshall. Oh, Marshall Ashford. The camera panning to Marshall's face was the moment that finally broke me and made me cry. Marshall just got back to Port Charles. He came back specifically to meet his new grandson, Desmond. He came back to enjoy his family, to be the patriarch, to finally have the peaceful family life he missed out on for decades. And instead, he has to stand in a courtroom and watch his son get sentenced to prison and collapse from the trauma. Marshall was literally standing there, dead silent, paralyzed by a sense of sheer, overwhelming helplessness. He couldn't protect Curtis. He couldn't jump the railing and save his son from the consequences of his own hot-headed mistakes. The rage in Marshall's eyes when he looked at the judge, it was palpable. But then, the absolute heartbreak when his gaze shifted toward the doors, knowing baby Desmond was just outside. Marshall realized in that exact moment that history is repeating itself in the most cruel, twisted way possible. Curtis is going to miss Desmond's first steps. He is going to miss his first words. He is going to miss the most crucial bonding years of his son's life. The exact same tragedy of an absent father that Curtis suffered through because of Marshall's is now happening to little Desmond. The generational trauma in this family is so incredibly deep and unfair. Marshall knows exactly how much it destroyed Curtis to grow up without a father, and now Curtis is being forced to inflict that same pain on his own infant son. It is a vicious, unending cycle of pain, and my heart aches for Marshall having to witness it. I just can't get over the writing here. It's brilliant, but it is so painful. Remember when they tried to do a prison storyline with other characters, and it just felt flat? Yeah, didn't work then either. But this has stakes, because there is a newborn baby involved. There is Trina, who is already dealing with stalker threats and showcase stress. There is Portia, who is torn between her guilt, her love for Curtis, and her complicated feelings for Isaiah. And there is Curtis himself, a man who has fought so hard to build a legitimate, respectable life, only to lose it all because he couldn't control his temper for 5 seconds. I am so mad at Curtis, but I am also so devastated for him. I kind of want to shake him, but I also want to hug him. See? I am contradicting myself because my emotions are all over the place. Let's rewind to the beginning of the trial for a sec. We knew Martin Gray was going to try to provoke Isaiah on the stand. We knew the defense strategy was to make the attack seem warranted, to prove undue provocation. But obviously, the jury didn't buy it. Or the judge didn't care. 2 years is a heavy sentence. It means the prosecution painted Curtis as a violent, unhinged. And honestly, when Curtis attacked Isaiah, he was unhinged. But 2 years? In Pentonville? That place is a nightmare. How is Curtis going to survive in there with his health history and his pride? And what is going to happen to his businesses? What happens to the Savoy? Who is going to run things while he is locked up? The ripple effects of this verdict are going to tear through Port Charles like a hurricane, and nobody is safe from the debris. I know some people on the forums are saying Curtis deserves this. They're saying he was toxic and possessive. And okay, maybe he was acting out of line. But 2 years? Come on. Think about all the actual murderers walking around Port Charles completely free. Sonny Corinthos is literally a mob boss. Ava Jerome has done unspeakable things. And Curtis gets locked up for a fistfight? The justice system in this town is an absolute joke. I am so heated about the hypocrisy. It just feels like the writers have a vendetta against the Ashford. Can they just be happy for one season? Just one? And Trina. I need to talk about Trina again because her storyline is just taking hit after hit. She finally gets her music career off the ground. She signs a deal with Simon, she performs with Gio, she is trying to build something beautiful for her. And now, she has to carry the burden of her father's incarceration. She is going to push Gio away, isn't she? I can already see it happening. She is going to isolate herself because that's what Trina does when she is hurting. And with that creepy stalker Quinn hovering in the background, Trina is more vulnerable than ever. If Portia is busy dealing with Curtis's legal appeals and Isaiah's guilt trips, who is going to protect Trina? Who is watching her back? Curtis was her ultimate protector, and now he is gone. I am dreading what comes next for her, but I also can't look away. What is Isaiah going to do now? Is he going to stay in Port Charles? He got his justice. He ruined Curtis's life just like Curtis ruined his. But at what cost? I bet he tries to apologize to Portia. I bet he tries to comfort her, and she is going to absolutely reject him. Or maybe she won't? Portia is so unpredictable. But if she stays with Isaiah after he pushed for the maximum sentence against Curtis, Trina will never forgive her. The Ashford Robinson family Thanksgiving is going to be incredibly awkward, let me tell you. I just need to vent this out because I'm so emotionally invested in it. I have watched Curtis go from a private investigator to a club owner to a father to a husband and now an inmate. It feels like a massive step backward for his character, but it also feels like the inevitable consequence of his actions. I hate it, but I love the drama it brings. General Hospital really knows how to rip our hearts out and stomp on them. The image of Curtis collapsing, the sound of Portia screaming, the sight of Trina panicking. It is cinematic soap opera perfection, even if it hurts to watch. I'm gonna need a few days to recover from this one, seriously. Let's also talk about the absolute sheer panic in that room when Curtis hit the floor. The medical emergency of it all. We don't even know if he's okay. Did he have a heart attack? Did he have a stroke? Is it just extreme exhaustion and shock? The cliffhanger ending, leaving us hanging with him unconscious, is just cruel. And the fact that Isaiah, a trained surgeon, was standing right there but was completely paralyzed by the emotional weight of the moment. That is brilliant storytelling. He has the skills to help, but he is the reason Curtis is on the floor in the first place. The dichotomy of Isaiah's character right now is fascinating. He is the victim of assault, but he is acting as the catalyst for the destruction of an entire family unit. And what about Trina's music showcase? She works so hard to focus on her art, to block out the noise, and now the noise has become a deafening roar. I swear, if this ruins her career trajectory, I am going to riot. Trina has suffered through the Spencer tragedy, the Esme nightmare, the paternity lie, and now this. Give the girl a break. But no, this is a soap opera, and happiness is fleeting. The tragedy is the point. I just hope that through all this darkness, we get to see some incredible, Emmy-worthy performances from the cast, because they are acting their hearts. And seriously, let's take a moment to appreciate the incredible set design and lighting in that courtroom. The harsh, fluorescent lights beating down on Curtis as he heard his fate. The dark, oppressive wood paneling of the judge's bench, it all added to this feeling of inescapable doom. It felt claustrophobic, which is exactly what prison is going to feel like for a man who has spent his entire life valuing his freedom and independence. Curtis Ashford is a man who built his own empire, who refused to be tied down, and now he is literally going to be confined to a 6x8 cell. The psychological torture of that reality is what brought him to his knees. It wasn't just the 2 years. It was the total loss of agency. He fought so hard to be the master of his own destiny, and in one swift strike of a gavel, the state took it all away. I am completely gutted, and I know the rest of the GH fandom is right there with me, screaming at our television. Will Curtis survive his sentence, or has his family been permanently shattered beyond repair? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more GHT.